Millions of people lost their lives due to his inventions. Today, we dive deep into the life of Fritz Haber, a genius scientist who revolutionized agriculture, potentially saving billions from starvation. Yet, he also became the father of chemical warfare, leading to the suffering and death of many. This is the story of a man who walked the fine line between hero and villain. If you find this video interesting, please support us by hitting the like button. Now, let's get started. The 1918 Nobel Prize in Chemistry was one of the most controversial in history. The winner was German scientist Fritz Haber, who made an enormous contribution to humanity by discovering that he could create ammonia from air. Remarkably, without his discovery, half of the 8 billion people alive on Earth today might not be here. Many of us owe our existence to his achievements. He is hailed as a hero who changed the trajectory of humanity. However, on the other hand, millions of people lost their lives because of his inventions. It raises questions about the ethical implications of his work. Fritz Haber was born in 1868 to a German Jewish family. His father was a successful merchant who imported dyes and other products. Perhaps because of his father's influence, Haber loved scientific experiments from childhood. He attended an elementary school with a diverse mix of Protestant, Catholic, and Jewish students. As he grew up, he went on to college. He studied at Humboldt University of Berlin, which is still one of the top universities in Europe, Heidelberg University, and the Technical University of Berlin. After graduating, Fritz Haber began working for his father's scientific company. But it didn't work out, and he spent most of his time studying at the university. Then he decided to convert from Judaism to Christianity, in order to get a better post. The reason for this is that in the late 19th century, German society at that time was filled with prejudice against Jews, and being a Jew was an obstacle to university positions and promotions in the military. Therefore, he chose to change his religion, in an attempt to assimilate into the German people. And although Haber was born a Jew, he was very patriotic. "I am proud to be a German." Incidentally, Fritz Haber was friends with Einstein, another prominent scientist of the time. In 1909, Fritz Haber made a groundbreaking invention that would change the course of human history. He successfully synthesized ammonia. He synthesized ammonia, a seemingly simple compound, but its implications were profound. It is said that this invention was the most important invention of the 20th century. And it is no exaggeration to say that we are alive today because of it. In the 19th century, industrialization led to a rapid increase in population. As the number of people increased rapidly, certain problems became inevitable. There is not enough food. Scientists at the time believed that the human population would grow to 1.5 billion people. And then we would face starvation there. Yes, the biggest problem for mankind in the past was how to provide food. To produce more food, we had to give more nitrogen to the soil in the fields. This important nitrogen that we wanted to get, in fact, is everywhere around here and around everyone. However, at that time there was no way to extract it. That's where Fritz Haber came in. This genius found a way to convert the nitrogen in the air into a compound that could be used as fertilizer. Using nitrogen and hydrogen, which make up 79% of the atmosphere, he created a way to synthesize ammonia. It became known as the Haber-Bosch process, named after Haber, who discovered it, and Bosch, who industrialized it for mass production of ammonia. Fritz Haber's discovery was hailed as the greatest invention of the 20th century, as it made bread from air. Today, 1% of global energy is dedicated to the Haber-Bosch process, yielding 175 million tons of ammonia annually. Before Fritz Haber's invention, it was predicted that the world's population would peak at 1.5 billion and starvation would follow. It is easy to see what a tremendous invention this man Fritz Haber had made. In 1918, about 10 years after his discovery of the century, Fritz Haber was awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for his work. At the award ceremony, however, Haber was alone. People scorned him, refusing to shake his hand. Wondering, what was he thinking coming here? People despised him. In fact, Fritz Haber had another dark side. Fritz Haber, who once declared, "I am proud to be a German citizen," was a fervent patriot and militarist. During World War I, he developed various military technologies. Among them was his particular focus on the development of devastating chemical weapons. Also, in 1914, 93 German intellectuals issued the infamous statement, the 93 Manifesto, in which they endorsed the German position, its legitimacy, and the war. The German army and the German people are one in protest against the lies that seek to besmirch Germany's honor. In World War I, there was a stalemate in the trenches between the armies of different countries. To break the deadlock, Fritz Haber made this proposal. Why not attack with chlorine gas, which is heavier than air? On April 22, 1915, on the Western Front, Ypres, Belgium, the Germans began to develop chlorine gas for use in trench warfare. There was a stalemate in the trenches between the French and the Germans. And there stood Haber, in uniform, with 6,000 metal tanks lined up in front of him. After checking the wind direction, Haber gave the signal. A greenish mist was shot out all at once. Then the birds fell from the sky and the grass changed color. But the Allied soldiers just watched in wonder, because no one had ever seen anything like it before. In just 10 minutes, 160 tons of chlorine gas covered the area, causing suffering and taking thousands of lives. It was the moment chemical weapons were used in war. But Haber had no reservations about the use of chemical weapons on people. Death is death in any form, he argued, believing that his actions would hasten the war's end and save lives. While the synthesis of ammonia showcased Haber's positive impact on humanity, his involvement in chemical warfare revealed a darker side to his legacy. This day led to the use of chemical weapons in warfare, not only by the Germans, but also by the Allies, who were eager to use them. The death toll from poison gas in World War I was 100,000, and 1 million people, including civilians, were injured. Haber was then called the father of chemical weapons. Now, Fritz Haber's wife, Clara. What was she like? Fritz's wife, Clara, was also a brilliant scientist. She continued her scientific research, defying the idea at the time that women were supposed to be stay-at-home moms. But as Haber rose through the ranks, Clara's career as a scientist came to a close. Even the papers showcasing her talent were often attributed to her husband, with many suggesting, "Your husband wrote them, didn't he?" And Clara was a pacifist. She could not understand her husband, who was patriotic and leaned toward militarism. Science should pave the way for a brighter future. On May 2, 1915, Fritz Haber returned home after a gas attack on the Western Front. And by then he had become a national hero. The military recognized Haber's success in destroying the French army with poison gas and promoted him. A party was held that day to celebrate his success and promotion. Late at night, after the party concluded, Clara took a gun into the garden and tragically shot herself. Her son heard the shot and ran to her, and she died in his arms. Fritz Haber then went to the Eastern Front the next day, next to release poison gas on the Russian army. He remained silent about Clara for the rest of his life. After World War I ended, Fritz Haber continued to support Germany's development of chemical weapons. He also worked as a scientist for the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute, the umbrella organization for the research. However, with the rise of the Nazis in the 1930s, Jewish scientists became their targets, and the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute ordered the dismissal of all Jewish scientists. Karl Bosch, who had once led the successful Haber-Bosch method of ammonia synthesis with Fritz Haber, rose to his feet. In a meeting with Hitler, he warned him that expelling Jewish scientists is the same as expelling physics and science from Germany. But his reply was, "Then Germany will do without physics and science for the next 100 years." Fritz Haber, a fervent German patriot, was never accepted in Germany after all. He lost his homeland. Haber flees Germany, with the help of British scientists who had opposed him in World War I. He settled in Cambridge, England. But he was hated by the public, and it was not a comfortable place for him. The following year, Fritz Haber died of heart failure. At the age of 65, a lonely end. Even after his demise, the techniques he pioneered persisted. Ironically, the techniques developed by Fritz Haber were later used by the Nazis, with his invention of poison gas being a component in Zyklon B, the deadly agent used in concentration camp gas chambers. And it ended up killing millions of Jews, including Haber's relatives and friends. Fritz Haber, a scientist celebrated as a genius who saved the world from starvation, yet also remembered for his role in developing chemical weapons. Humanity continues to grapple with his dual legacy. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insightful content. Take care and see you in the next video. Goodbye.